How have you been coping? Because we spoke to you, what, about 6 weeks ago? Just gone,
Yeah,
well, was it 8 weeks ago, probably? We'd just gone
it
into
was very. It was,
lockdown.
yeah, it was quite near the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, I've been all right, mate. To be honest, I've been fine. I mean, I'm in a nice spot here, so I've been enjoying the countryside. I've been enjoying, relatively new house. I've been doing a lot of writing, and it's been good. I've been keeping fit, out on my bike, and got my kayak and everything in the river, and yeah, I'm all right. But writing has been the main focus. Writing,
What?
riding, and outside in the sticks.
So for people that don't know Paul is originally from, well, you were at school at Abingdon with me. That's how I know Paul. Paul then became a model.
You had to
And
mention that, didn't you?
well,
Are we on air now, so to speak?
yeah, we're live. Yeah, we've got 42
Okay.
people watching us. So, or 40.
The numbers are
Uh,
going down. They're going down.
Paul and I went to the same agency. They didn't let me in, but they let Paul in. I think it's a height thing at the end of the day, to be honest with you.
It's just height. That's what it was. Just
That's
height.
all it was.
It's an inch taller.
Maybe another 5 inches would have been fine. And then, yeah, take it from there. Your first commercial was with Virgin, is that right? Remember you sat on the bench with was it statue crashing on your head or something?
Yeah, it was that. It was a great commercial. It was in '96 or something. Frank Budgeon, legendary director, now no longer with us, unfortunately. He directed it. Yeah, it was for Virgin Atlantic, and caused a bit of a stir at the time. Won a few awards and everything. And I sort of rolled around the States and England for about a month with beautiful women and doing ridiculous things. It was. Am I getting paid for this? I seem to be. That's great. I like this business. I want to do more of this. But yeah, the acting started when I was a kid with our good friend John, of course, back at the Edinburgh Festival in 1981 or something. So yeah, and it's been trundling along ever since in various forms.
So of late, you've been in Arrow.
Yeah, I found myself in the States in 2002, and sort of seemed to fall into American television and film, but primarily television out there. For the years since, really. But that's an interesting moment when I got to LA. I was there by sort of circumstance. I'd done a Bollywood film, which had become India's entry for the best foreign language category at the Oscars in 2002, and I happened to be floating around California with my girlfriend at the time, and Amir Khan, who is the big super duper star of Lagan, this Bollywood film, called me and he said, Paul, it's become India's entry for the best foreign language category. We're going to try and get the Academy members to watch the film. You're in California, right? You want to come and help us? And I said, yeah, of course, let's do that. No idea how we were going to do it, but, got to start somewhere. And I called my London agent at the time and I said, listen, I'm kind of in LA, it's sort of found myself here really, because I've just been living in London and doing some television film out there. But I called her up and I said, I'm in LA. Any chance you could set up some meetings with some agents and managers out here? And she said to me, well, I don't know, Paul, it's very competitive in LA. And I said, anyway, I'm in LA. Can you set up some meetings with some managers and some agents out here? Because she herself was a big London agent. And she said, well, it's not going to be easy in LA, Paul. Anyway, I'm in LA. Can you set up some meetings with some managers? And the point being, I wasn't going to subscribe to her story. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I could have just sat there and gone, you know what? You're right. What was I thinking? Little old me in LA. Yeah, right. Sorry. I'll just get this done and I'll be right back. But I wasn't through any great sort of place of wisdom. It's just some instinctive thing or something. I just remember thinking, well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a miracle getting born in the first place, isn't it? Getting this far in life without getting run over by a bus. So why start thinking that something's impossible? It's you create the life you think about. And eventually she set me up with two meetings in LA. One was with an agent that didn't go any further, and the other was with a manager who's still my manager today, 18 years later. So,
Fantastic.
sometimes you just got to ignore people and their nonsense sometimes,
In your business, having a manager for that long, is that pretty normal or is that really unusual?
I don't think so. And I've also got the same agent throughout that time.
So what's the difference between a manager and an agent? The agent gets you the work, the manager looks after all the sort of off-screen stuff, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, essentially the difference is that the agent will try and get you the work in a sort of a job-to-job basis. Your manager is sort of managing your career and perhaps your life to a certain degree, depending on how needy you are, but certainly managing your career to a greater sort of extent. Well, that job's come in, Paul, but is that really the one you want to do right now? And you could have sort of more discussive sort of more deeper sort of discussions with. However, again, I'm lucky. My agent and my manager work together brilliantly, and there isn't really much differentiation. But when I got there, I was like, well, hang on, why am I paying 10% to an agent, 10% to a manager? In London, it's just 10% to an agent. And I thought to myself, well, not many people know me here, so I'd rather have two people sort of working with each other and perhaps pushing each other, and then pay 20% of something than 10% of nothing. So I just thought the more people I've got on my side here, the better. So, and it's been great. And
you're carrying on paying 20% until now? You're now paying 30%.
Now I actually have a new London agent. So what they do in that case is they sort of split it in various ways, but it comes down like a 777 situation, depending on where the job hails from. It gets a bit more complex than that, but yes, they find a way.
Fantastic. So yeah, so how are things looking forward? I mean, I know you at the moment. I mean, Rob shared a screen the other day where you got Harry of Dresden on Amazon Prime. Is that right at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know it was there. Yes, our good friend Rob pointed that out. Apparently, Lagarne's on Netflix now as well, which is pretty amazing. Really glad about that. It's a wonderful film.
When's the last time you watched that?
Sorry?
When was the last time you watched that?
Last time I watched that was probably in India, about 20 years ago. Yeah, it's a commitment, that film. 3 hours, 48 minutes.
Oh my God. With a what, sorry?
With an intermission.
Well, anything after 3 days at Bio is going to be a bit of a walk in the park, I can assure you. So I'll...
That's true.
Maybe
I'm not saying that because it is a wonderful film. It's something I'm probably the most proud of being part of, really. No, I was shooting a film in Prague just prior to the lockdown, and got the call on Thursday, the 12th of March, saying that Czech Republic is closing down. Off you all go. Obviously, there was about 100 people, actually more than that, because there were extras, there was background involved as well. But they were stopping gatherings of more than 50, so we all had to leave the next day for that March 13th sort of moment when it was all kicking in. But I'm actually off back there on June the 17th, I think it is, in a couple of weeks. And it's going to be interesting to see how the film sort of television world resurrects itself. For a start, I mean, I've got a COVID test happening tomorrow. I've got another COVID test happening 2 days before I leave. They're having everybody drive to the Czech Republic. They can't rely on flights. So I've got a driver coming to pick me up, drive me to Prague, and I'll be there very briefly, shoot, and then come back. Obviously there'll be a lot of PPP involved in the process, social distancing, and then with
Gosh, how long is that going to take to Prague then, Paul?
It's about 15 hours.
Wow.
It's a schlep, but it's not too crazy. I mean, you just hop on the Eurotunnel, and off you go. And with respect to the future of film and television, obviously those sets are, ordinarily have a huge number of people involved. I think the old adage, never waste a crisis, will come into play here with the studios. What do we can't have all these people now because of the social distancing, so we can't employ them all. Oh, that's cheaper. Oh, let's keep that going, shall we? That seemed to work. So I'm sure that will happen. The digital aspect of things will come into play more. You know, there'll be a lot more sound studio based filming with, you know, any digital backdrop. You know, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more difficult trundling around with a massive infrastructure on locations. A lot more out of control, out of one's control. So yeah, they'll be going further in that direction. More localized work.
Do you think that impacts on the end product, or do you still feel that the end product, with all the special effects and everything that these guys can magic up behind the scenes, will make the end user's experience still pretty much the same or unaffected?
Well, you know, it'll never be the same as Lawrence of Arabia, will it? Let's face it, you know, it's not going to be Dr. Zhivago. You know, you've got your old school film and epic locations, and, you know, and when it comes to that sort of stuff, you know, there's obviously something a bit intangibly magical about that. But, you know, Pixar films are pretty good, aren't they? It'll be...
No, you can have too much of a Pixar film. Once you watch Bug's Life for the 83rd time, it's and that's without the kids as well.
Yeah. I just wish I saw was it The Incredibles 2, the second one? God, it was deafening. That's just the thing that gets me about some of these films. It just
you're getting old, Paul. You're getting old.
I am getting old. The ears are getting a bit sensitive.
You're gonna get some headphones. You have to get headphones. So, but I mean, in terms of after Prague and what happens after that for you, have you got stuff in the pipeline coming forward, or is it looking a little bit thin?
Well, I put myself on tape for a couple of projects, a couple of films that we're shooting in Canada and California in July. But I mean, what they're doing, they're moving forward with the process of production. And then if it comes to sort of the day before they can't film because of whatever the circumstances at that time, if that's the case, then, you know, they'll no doubt press the insurance button. But I think they've got I think, you know, optimistically they're moving forward. And then seeing what it is. Obviously, it's a fast-moving situation, isn't it? Things are changing rapidly in terms of the conditions we're living and working under. So I think a lot of them are going to be moving forward. On a personal front, I've been using this time to write. I've been doing a lot of writing. I've been enjoying that, and we'll be pushing forward on that myself.
Writing for what's the end product, Paul?
Book.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically,
it might be in a screenplay or something. I don't know.
No, absolutely, no. It's a completely legit question. No, absolutely. Yeah, no, I wanted to just put some experiences down on actually, it's akin to what we were talking about earlier. You know, we live the life according to the story that we grow up in, you know, the psychological layers that we take on because we grew up in this world. Our parents said this, our friends said that, our socio-economic sort of background. We create this story in our minds of who we are. And quite often all it does is keep us down, you know. So I'm sort of writing the story of my story to show what a waste of time that is keeping. And then when I free myself of my story, I actually got a much more chance of living a life of sort of full potential. Do you know what I mean? And service and such like. So I'm actually just using my nonsense as the example of a story that's well worth letting go of in terms of what I've always thought about myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when do you hope that to be out?
I don't know. I'm writing it now. So I'm literally working on it this morning. So I don't know.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Could you mind? I'm trying to write my memoirs. But with regard to, so I've just been doing that because, hey, you know, we've been locked down. And with regard to getting back to the acting stuff, you know, I'll see how it goes, see what comes up next. I don't think I'll be back in the States until September, probably.
I was going to touch on that, but obviously because that's where you spent, well, I'd say the majority of your life in the States, but with coronavirus over there and obviously the most recent troubles, have you got any sort of first-hand insight into that?
Well,
not first-hand, obviously, but
I mean, I as it happens, I relocated. I sold my house in California in December. Strangely enough, I relocated to New York State in December too. I bought a house there just in time for a quick pandemic, But what's happened is that I'm 2 hours north of New York, and all those New Yorkers are basically fleeing New York for, you know, all these crazy reasons. So I've actually rented out my house there, you know, to sort of give somebody some refuge from the craziness in the city. But and that's till September. I'll probably go back there at that point. You know, I miss being in the States. You know, I love being here down in Sussex and everything, but you know, I like to spend my time in the States as well. So just play it by ear, really. Play it by ear.